بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وآله وصحبه ومن والاه. أما بعد, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. The ninth juz of the Quran, we ended off Surah Al-A'raf and started Surah Al-Anfal. In almost all of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is discussing the stories of the Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam. They're dealing with their respective Anbiya and their prophets, and their people and their prophets. Whenever a Nabi came and he came with specific teachings amongst the general da'wah or to his people, then he would address those specific ills and shortfalls of that nation. And the weakness of insan is we don't want to hear when we are wrong, and we don't want to hear when we are making a mistake. We believe that we are correct. The problem today is لا يرى بها بأسا. Today people make mistakes, people do something wrong, and they don't consider it a problem. They don't consider this here an issue. It's all fine. So through this system, tyrants are born. Through this system, oppressors are created. لا يرى بها بأسا. Whatever position you may be in, if we do something and we are then corrected, highlighted, and we don't consider what we're doing a problem, then this is doubly wrong. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala discusses in Surah Al-A'raf the issue with the different Anbiya. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks of Nuh alayhi salatu Hud alayhi salatu wassalam, Nuh alayhi salatu wassalam, Salih alayhi salam to his people, Lut alayhi salam. وَلُوطًا إِذْ قَالَ لِقَوْمِهِ أَتَأْتُونَ الْفَاحِشَةَ مَا سَبَقَكُمْ بِهَا مِنْ أَحَدٍ مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ. That prior to you, no one has done this yet. Nobody has invented the sin. Upon this year, the scholars tell us that they claim that this is genetics and this is hereditary. This is a false claim. There is no biological background to their claim of the LGBT. مَا سَبَقَكُمْ بِهَا مِنْ أَحَدٍ مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ. This was amongst those positions where Shaitan played his very specific role, and he came personally to deviate people. Another occasion is when we open up today the Battle of Badr in Surah Al-Anfal, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say that فَلَمَّا تَرَأَتِ الْجَمْعَانِ he said to his people, فَلَمَّا تَرَأَتِ الْفِئَتَانِ نَكَصَ عَلَى عَقِبَيْهِ. So when the people of Mecca were in a moment of hesitation, the Quraysh, when they were coming out for the Battle of Badr, so Shaitan came himself in the form of one of the leaders of the tribe against whom they were apprehensive, the Quraysh, and they feared an attack whilst they were away. So he came as one of the leaders, in the form of the leader. They said, you have our full backing and you have safety from our side. Move on your mission. But when the armies met face to face in the Battle of Badr and he saw the Malaika, نَكَصَ عَلَى عَقِبَيْهِ وَقَالَ إِنِّي أَرَى مَا لَا تَرَوْنَ إِنِّي أَخَافُ اللَّهَ. So I can see what you can't see. And he's seeing the angels there. He's seeing the angels in. So similarly, on multiple occasions, Shaitan came physically and played his role. One of those was the occasion of with the people of Lut. وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ وَلُوطًا إِلَى الْأَرْضِ الَّتِي بَارَكْنَا فِيهَا لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Allah says that we saved Ibrahim alayhi salam and his nephew Lut, his paternal nephew, his brother's son. So Lut alayhi salam, Lut ibn Haran. So when they made hijrah, then they came, Lut alayhi salam settled in Mu'tafika, Ibrahim alayhi salam moved on further towards Khalil. And between the two there was a day's journey, a day's travel. Obviously in olden times travel, the way they measured it. So then Allah says, then we saved him من القرية التي كانت تعمل الخبائث. We know of the crime of sodomy which the people were involved in, but they were involved in many other crimes which we generally don't know of. They would have their clubs, their nadis, وَتَأْتُونَ فِي نَادِيكُمُ الْمُنْكَرِ. They used to have their clubs. And in those clubs, they used to have different clubs for different things. Like, you you go to Ponsonby and these places, you got the different clubs, right? So they used to have, amongst the vices that they used to commit was, they used to have these farting competitions. When Nabi Sallallahu said that you will follow the people of the past, handspan by handspan, every single vice of the previous this ummah has it. This is, maybe we don't know of it here in New Zealand, but overseas, it's a big, massive thing, these competitions. And they go, and there's certain foods they have to eat, and they've got trainers to train them how to have the loudest and biggest and longest. Such a despicable and repugnant thing to even talk about. But they used to have these competitions, and they used to giggle and they used to laugh. This was one of those things. Sodomy was the major one. Then they were involved in highway robbery. So passerbyers, they used to pelt them with stones. They used to throw at them. They used to then take them and they used to rape them as well. They used to have these rooster fighting. You have this rooster fighting, and then it's a specific sport. They consider it a sport, but it's animal cruelty. Fortunately, we don't have it here. And even the dog racing in it, there's always pressure on those areas. The animal cruelty and animal welfare. So this rooster fighting, this is against what Allah Ta'ala created it for. They train these animals in a specific way to make them aggressive against another rooster, and then they have these rooster fights. The people of Lut alayhi salam were involved in this here. So all of these bad sins, they started there by them. Amongst and the chief of which is sodomy, they were involved in. When Lut alayhi salam kept on reminding his people, and this is where we come in, that when you have the knowledge and Allah Ta'ala has given you the wisdom, then you have to, what we talked of the other day, nahi anil munkar. If we fail in this duty, then we also will be included. So in the punishment, may Allah forgive us and protect us. So he said, Inni li'amalikum min al-qalin. Listen, you can go on threatening me. They threatened him and they said, we will expel you, we will pelt you, we will do this and we will do that. He said, you do what you have to do, I have to. So one is, he said, li'amalikum min al-qalin. Qalin could have two meanings. One is, I will continuously speak against it. I'll continue to speak out. So when we are involved in this riba, then we shouldn't be silent about it and just put it under the carpet and hush it away. And it's like, it's like we are caught in it and we don't have a way out. No, we have to talk about it. Even if they don't like it. Even if it's awkward when it's being said to you and told to you. Even if you know that you may have been involved in some of those dealings. It's for you to deal between you and Allah. So, he said, I will continuously speak about it. And we have to abhor it in our hearts. Despise it in our hearts. Qalin. One of the meanings of qalin is to hate it and despise it in your heart, in your soul. That this what these people are doing is wrong. This is haram. This is Islamically incorrect. This is going against contrary to the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't despise the individual. We don't hate the individual. We don't call towards his harm and towards abuse, etc. But we have to identify the sin, the vice, and help that person to fix the thing. And we should not be, and we cannot be pressured by societal norms. Because societal norms, everything will flip around. And this is one of the signs of Qiyamah. أَإِنَّكُمْ لَتَأْتُونَ الرِّجَالَ شَهْوَةً مِّن دُونِ النِّسَاءِ بَلْ أَنْتُمْ قَوْمٌ مُسْرِفُونَ, etc. Subhanallah. Amongst the biggest and most discussed stories and topics of the Quran in terms of the previous nations was obviously the Bani Israel, and specifically Musa alayhi salatu wasalam with his people. Musa alayhi salatu wasalam was one of the 5 ulul azam, the 5 senior most prophets. So you had Ibrahim alayhi salam, Nuh alayhi salam, Musa, Isa, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ مِيثَاقَهُمْ وَمِنْكَ وَمِنْ نُوحٍ وَإِبْرَاهِيمَ وَمُوسَى وَعِيسَى ابْنِ مَرْيَمَ وَأَخَذْنَا مِنْهُمْ مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا. In Surah Al-Ahzab, 21 juz, Allah Ta'ala names the 5 ulul azam prophets. Musa alayhi salatu wasalam was a very senior prophet of Allah. He was on the maqam of kalam. He was on the maqam and station of communication with Allah directly. No Nabi except Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on one occasion when he was in Mi'raj communicated directly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behind the veil. But Musa alayhi salam was that single Nabi who frequently used to be in communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly behind the veil. And on one occasion his people also went to earth when they went to receive the Torah, and they were hearing the communication as Allah ta'ala was giving the Torah to Musa alayhi salam. Upon that they did not believe. They said, no, we don't believe you, Musa. We want to see Allah live. We want to see Allah live. So Allah then struck them. We recited it tonight. Allah struck them with a lightning. And they all 70 of them perished and died. Musa alayhi salam said to Allah, Allah, if I go back in this condition alone, you know my people, how they are. And we worried about Gaza today. He was worried about his own people. He says, you know my people, what they will do to me. He said, they will say, I took 70, I killed them and I came home alone. And where's Musa in front of 70, right? But they will turn it around against him. Forget that. Harun alayhi salam is present with them. Musa alayhi salam is gone on a specific task. What's the specific task? Go and receive the Torah. Allah Ta'ala literally saved them from the tyranny of Fir'aun. And they crossed the sea. No sooner they crossed the sea, they see the dead body of Fir'aun in front of them. They didn't believe that he was dead. So Allah Ta'ala then spat out the body of Fir'aun onto the shore so they could see it. Right? They saw the body of Fir'aun, now they were itminan. Fir'aun, the enemy died or has been killed, and his army. They moving along, they come across a people who are worshipping a calf. اجعل لنا إلها كما لهم آلهة. Musa, give us a Lord like these people have a Lord to worship. Allahu Akbar. And it's not like a, subhanallah, you know, somebody could say like, somebody could say, وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ, regarding the shaqqul qamar of Rasulullah, you know, the splitting of the moon. The splitting of the moon took place in front of their eyes, but they weren't next to the moon to see it's physically splitting. They saw it's physically splitting. But they could have made excuses that, you know what, they did which they did, that this is magic, etc. This is, they crossed it themselves, yani. They crossed the ocean themselves, and the ocean split open in 12 parts. And Allah Ta'ala made the waters like huge towers, and it had a mirror effect. So they just had to glance into the water, and they could see how far the army was behind in pursuit. They didn't have to turn behind, thereby losing milliseconds. They could continue onwards. After all of that, they cross over and they ask Musa, give us a khuda, give us a Lord like these people have. Anyway, Musa ﷺ was now, obviously they were safe from the tyranny of Fir'aun. Now they could now build their society. They could build their deen. Like when the Sahaba made hijrah to Medina, now Islam could establish and flourish. And the laws of zakah and salah and all of these things and fasting could now be legislated and come down to the ummah. All of that happened after in Medina. And subhanallah, so Musa ﷺ went on a very specific task with these people to go and receive the Torah. So he is with a group, and Harun is also a Nabi with the remaining of the people. Musa ﷺ is gone along, and these fellows start worshipping the calf. That will come later on, inshallah. So when Allah Ta'ala destroyed them, Musa ﷺ made dua to Allah, أَتُهْلِكُنَا بِمَا فَعَلَ السُّفَهَاءُ مِنَّا. Allah, if you wanted, you should have just killed me also with them. Musa ﷺ didn't have it in him to go back and to face his people empty-handed. He said, Ya Allah, you should have just taken me also one time. So Allah Ta'ala then brought them back to life, so that they could relate to their people. But they didn't believe still. So then Allah Ta'ala says, وَإِذْ نَتَقْنَا الْجَبَلَ فَوْقَهُمْ كَأَنَّهُ ظُلَّةٌ. We raised the mountain above their heads. Can you imagine, yani? And all of these things that happened to Bani Israel was like, it's not a fairy tale. These things physically in real life took place. The splitting of the sea, the water gushing forth from the rock, 12 streams, not one, 12 streams for 12 tribes. The man and the salwa, the daily shower of the man, the whitish matter that would come down on the leaf tops. Gather as much as you want for the day, not more than one day's supply. Take the quail birds and have as much as you can have for that one day, not more than one day's supply. All of these things were happening to the Bani Israel. Their clothing was to grow with them. SubhanAllah. It is mentioned in the riwayat, if Bani Israel didn't complain about man and salwa, we would have been eating man and salwa today. No need for fridge and freezers. So Allah Ta'ala raised up the mountain. وَإِذْ نَتَقْنَا الْجَبَلَ فَوْقَهُمْ كَأَنَّهُ ظُلَّةٌ وَظَنُّوا أَنَّهُ وَاقِعٌ بِهِمْ. When they now looking up like this here, they were bending down like, okay, Allah, we believe, we'll follow. And Allah put a mountain down back again. So this is the nation, Zionists, that we are dealing with, unfortunately, in Gaza. One of the very significant events that took place in the life of Musa ﷺ was he, like Ibrahim ﷺ, desired to see how Allah resurrects life after death. So he said, Arini, Allah, كيف تحيي الموتى? How you create life after death. So Allah Ta'ala then made him watch the documentary live. Okay. So Musa ﷺ was desirous, obviously he's speaking to Allah, he was desirous to see Allah Ta'ala. Who would not be? So he said, Arini anzur ilayk. Allah, I would like to see you. So قال لن تراني ولكن انظر إلى الجبل فإن استقر مكانه فسوف تراني. Says Musa, you have not been created with the ability to see me, and لا تدركه الأبصار وهو يدرك الأبصار وهو اللطيف الخبير. We recited that the eyes cannot see Allah Ta'ala, but Allah sees everyone. Our eyes are too weak, but we can't even look at the sun during the day, and we will become blind. How are we going to see Allah, the one who created the sun and the stars? So Allah says, لن تراني. But if you insist, I will reveal my nur and my tajalli on this mountain. If you are able to withstand that, then by all means. ولكن انظروا إلى الجبل فإن استقر مكانه فسوف تراني. If the mountain can bear that tajalli of mine, you will see me after that. So Allah Ta'ala, on this year, Allah Ta'ala opened up the doors of the heavens, and the tajalli of Allah Ta'ala was descending upon this mountain. So the mountain of Tur means mountain in Arabic. Tur means mountain. It could mean any mountain in which Musa ﷺ had communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it has a specific meaning. That meaning, Tur Sinai, Mount Sinai, where Musa ﷺ received the first revelation. It's not where it's currently showed on Google Maps. That is the propaganda. Even the Christians and Jews don't believe that. So that was Tur Sinai. But Tur also refers to every other mountain, a blessed mountain. A blessed mountain in which Musa ﷺ had communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is make mention that when Musa ﷺ and Allah revealed his tajalli, then the tajalli of difa', and that is defense of Allah Ta'ala, is revealed. Because this is a very heavy thing to desire, to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the scholars from their calculation make mention that it is in the close vicinity of Gaza. This tajalli of Allah Ta'ala, and hence this is that one ta'ifa, this one group which is in minority and yet facing up the entire dunya. Because the tajalli of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the defense system of Allah Ta'ala is over there. The defense system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Makkah Mukarramah has its own beauty. Medina Munawwara has its own beauty. Al-Aqsa has its own beauty. Al-Aqsa was the seat of hukumat, sovereignty. Who rules Aqsa rules the world. That's why Sulaiman ﷺ's seat of power was where? In Aqsa, in Aqsa al-Mubarakah. Palestine, Jerusalem. And Gaza is the defense of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is where that mountain came down crushing. So that's an entire discussion. But this is a very significant event in the life of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. قال لن تراني فلما أفاق قال سبحانك تبت إليك وأنا أول المؤمنين. When Musa immediately fell unconscious, because it is not in the capacity of any human being to bear that. Any human being, any creation to bear that. When inna aradna al-amanata, Allah Ta'ala just placed this amana in front of the mountains and the heavens and the earth, and they very politely backed out. Allah أشفقنا منها وحملها. They said, Allah, we can't manage to carry this amana. وحملها الإنسان. Insan took this amana. Amana of passing on the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amana of the Quran. Amana of the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The mountains, the heavens and the earth. They said, Allah, they politely declined. Allah, we can't manage this. It's too heavy for us. Insan took it on their shoulders. So it is not in the capacity of any creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to see Allah. Hence when this defense and tajalli of Allah was revealed, this fountain of the defense of Allah was being revealed on this mountain, and the mountain came down crushing. One of the locations in which Dajjal will not enter, one of the 4 locations, is the Tur area. Mention Tur. Again, the location, specific location, nobody knows. But according to the calculation of the ulama, it's in that vicinity of Gaza. And hence you see that despite their continuous attempts to invade, they are continuously being pushed back. Because this is the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah ta'ala grant us tawfiq, inshallah. And you will study the story of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam in the Bani Israel in the Quran. It's amazing, it's beautiful. And there's deep messages and deeper lessons for us to be learned from the noble Quran. Subhanallah, bihamdihi, subhanakallah, wa bihamdihi, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta.